So yeah, I am working on a game on S&box, and if you have recently subscribed due to my other S&box content and updates that I've been providing, I have been working on this game for quite a bit, to be exact. 5 months and counting. Blossom is a psychological horror game that I'm working on within S&box, as I really haven't seen many horror games currently on S&box outside of Terry's Granny and a couple of others that are very interesting, but this seems to be a genre that is kind of low in terms of games that are available on the platform. My goal with this game is to create my very first game on S&box. I have been interested in game development for quite a long time, and I just really haven't stuck with it, as I've tried to learn engines like Unity and others to see how I can go and create my first game. And since I have been covering this game for the last 3 years, I thought to myself, why not try to make a game just for the fun of it and learn on how I can do this and see what can happen with this. And this all pretty much started from a concept, and this concept was a menu where there was this TV that was presented, and there was kind of weird like noises that were coming from the TV, and most of this was partially made with the source filmmaker at the time when S&box still had the entity system, but I just thought it looked really cool and always wanted to create more from it. And eventually it then turned into this game, which is kind of wild, but that's how it started. So why horror, and why specifically psychological horror? Well, Silent Hill and the Siren series are my favorite horror games that I've played by far. And I know, yes, Silent Hill is like the grandfather of psychological horror games, and the Siren series, it made the most sense because I really enjoy the idea of what these games do, both story-wise and gameplay-wise, and just they're phenomenal. I love these type of games. Let's talk about specifically what is new with my game, because I know a lot of you guys were really asking about this game. Here we are. We're doing another video talking about this. So let's show what is new. So there has been a lot of things that I've been trying to improve, and I know some of these are smaller, but presentation is definitely going to be one of them. I know it's not going to be perfect, but I do love presentation, and at the same time, I've worked within graphics and motion design for quite a while, like basically since I was out of high school and doing it freelancing, as that's what I do even now. So I decided to go and improve a couple of things with the main menu, including improving the intro. So now the intro properly plays. Before, what I did was I had a camera that was showing a cube that was kind of a certain width that would fit the screen. And then from there, after that was done, then it would start the menu. But now we can properly put it as like a texture on the screen as it plays the video, as what it should be doing, and then puts you right into the main menu. This also does include some new menu music that feels like it fits a bit more with the theme of kind of like this sort of uneasy dread that you'll feel.
We pay cash for scrappy cars.
For me, creating this was a ton of fun because it's super simple and super easy for me, because I've been making music on the side for years and I love doing this. So it just kind of felt like more of a challenge to see how I can create this sort of vibe for the game. Another thing that I mentioned, and I probably mentioned this within the last video, but you are able to play as your character that you've customized within S&box. I think this is one of the coolest things that you can do, especially for games in S&box, as I do understand that not everyone's going to want to play as the main character, but probably play as themselves. And this is going to be really cool because I know there's going to be some very wacky character designs here and there, but it kind of feels more like how you would expect it, especially for like special costumes and outfits that you'll probably end up finding again within the Silent Hill games, and just kind of little bits of wackiness that are a part of the game that just kind of feel the exact same way as, again, you'll be able to choose your character. This will work in most of the cutscenes because I decided to go and create this really cool avatar check that basically says, hey, if they did, most of the cutscenes and also the player model will switch over to that specific one, which I think is really awesome. I've also taken out the time to improve on the cover for the game itself that is presented in S&box, as this was something I really wanted to do. I felt like the original cover that I had, it just didn't feel like it was right. And now I decided to kind of take a little bit more of a different shift with that to make it a bit more weird and creepy. So I took out time to go and create this within S&box and then take a picture of it, throw it into Photoshop or Affinity and design it from there. And this is what we have as the covers now for all of the different methods. And I think it looks really cool, really creepy, and very weird. So shout out to me for knowing graphic design for quite a bit. This is one that I definitely wanted to fix, which was improvements to the sight jacking feature. Now, a lot of people that already know about the Siren series know about the one feature, which is called sight jacking. And sight jacking allows you as the player to have this ability to also see from the perspective of the enemy that you end up finding or coming across, just so that you can kind of get the gist of this hide and seek game, but you're kind of also cheating in a way because you could see through their eyes. But this split perspective feature is something that I've really enjoyed with the Siren series and feel that it's just not really used in horror games as much anymore because you need a valid reason for it. Plus, it's also kind of difficult because you have to play this game of what are we going to do with the game and how can this work again. There still needs to be quite a bit of improvements, and I'm not trying to make it absolutely perfect, but I do understand that there are certain sounds that I have to improve on, including when the enemy sees the player and also the different type of voice lines and things that you'll hear from both perspectives. The combat system. Now, this combat system as of right now is very, very janky. And I understand that, again, this is my first game. I am learning on what I can do with the component system within S&box, and also just try to figure out other different aspects of like, okay, I have this idea. How can I go and make it using this within code? With the combat system, it's just very bare bones as of right now. And I do understand with Silent Hill games and Siren series, combat really wasn't the main focus, and that's kind of why it was bad. But I also feel like it is a staple, so a part of me wants to kind of keep it where it is just, again, fairly basic. As of right now, and what you can see on the screen, it's kind of a little bit weird, and I do understand that it kind of feels a bit Gmod coded. I know, just to even mention that, but just seeing this on screen, it kind of feels super goofy, and I do like it. I understand that I could probably end up figuring out my own sort of animations, but that does seem a bit more tedious at the moment, as I don't really have too much time to just sit down and only focus on this stuff because I do want to finish this game. So we have tutorial triggers. Now, this is really good because when you do start the level, it's going to show you some things here and there, and it's fairly basic, but I can also use this for other things down the line if there is maybe something that I want to tell for the player to do or to try out themselves. There also has been some improvements that thankfully I was able to ask the map creator, Mike, which is a part of Three Thieves, about. I wanted to see if I can make the map as dark as possible with some fog, which I'm using volumetric fog, and it's really nice because there's supposed to be some updates to improve the fog itself and also change the color of the fog, which is going to be very helpful because I've been trying to figure that out for quite a bit, and volumetric fog is just the way to go. All the other methods that I've seen do not fit for what I'm trying to do. So thankfully, we could just do that. But yes, the overall feel of what I'm trying to go with this is, again, it's supposed to be dark and foggy, not just only foggy, to make it a little bit more harder for you to see stuff, obviously, you know? So for some things that I want to improve on, the first thing I would have to say is the storytelling. Technically, this would be the first time I'm trying to not only just make a game, but tell a story at the same time. So writing, voice acting, and all these different aspects have to come together to make sense. I know with some of the things that are shown, like some of the puzzles that I'll be showing shortly, you will get a gist of the themes that are going to come with it, and also the name of the game itself and what it's going to be talking about in this way.
And you're not allowed to come out of there, you understand? Stay in there until I tell you to come out. No, it doesn't matter. They are punished.
Thank you for joining us. I give you my dear brother and good friend, Paul. Bossy. You know something? I celebrate you. Sounds and stuff like that.
I'm probably going to have to reach out to some people at some point, because I know especially what I want to do is I want to keep it simple. I don't really want to complicate too much. I think it's very easy for someone who is new like me to just get into this idea of like, okay, I want to make a game, and also I want to add all this stuff to the game, and then it becomes like a hot mess and I lose sight of what it is exactly I want to do, which is, of course, have a sort of A to B game, as what most people would say, and figure out in between, what do we end up doing? How does all of this make sense? And what is the entire point of why we're doing all of this? This also does go into the puzzles, which is something that I am working on. If there is anything that I did enjoy when it comes to these games, is some of the puzzle aspects. Now, I don't want to do some overly crazy complicated puzzles either. There might be some challenging ones that I can think of at some point. I also want to figure out more ways to mess with the player. This was the biggest thing, and I know that I also even worked on a dialogue system. This is something I truly don't know if I'm going to keep in the game, but there is a character at some point which was called Sinclair.
Even the reaction on your face says it all. Our contestant is going to feel what all of us feel every day. Pain. Now all our contestant has to do is survive. Good luck.
Now, you as a player end up getting into some of these encounters, and eventually I do want to figure that out, but I don't know if it'll be to the level as I did it with just testing how dialogue would work. And at the same time, I would be voicing Sinclair in a way. So there's a lot that goes on with it, but here's that.
All right, spit it out already. It's not like I'm staying alive any longer. Welcome to the real world. Sometimes people might try to kill you. But who knows? Not everything is so perfect in your head. Yes, okay, fine, I'm dead. You can waste my time some more by talking to me. Oh my goodness, kids these days don't pay attention. My name is Sinclair. Sinclair.
So I don't know. I think it'd be really cool, but I just have to figure out some things, because I do have to take in consideration figuring out what I want to work on, which is another thing I want to improve on, is figuring out what exactly I have to focus on to push this game forward in development, and also taking consideration time, because outside of doing these videos and working on this game, I do other stuff, I do other work, and that is very important to just kind of see what is it I can do for this set amount of time, so that I can, again, improve the game and also push it further along so that we can actually get to a point where it is playable. So let's talk about what's going to come eventually. I know that there has been some people who are telling me that they would love the idea of a playable demo, which that is something that I am thinking of doing at some point. I have to try to make sure that there is more parts of it that are playable. Then eventually the game will then come out and then people can play it. I get it. I work on these videos and at the same time I do other stuff, but having to kind of juggle all of it is a little bit difficult. And especially with how time is, I have to try my absolute best to take out the time for it so then I could just, you know, get it done. So I know that this was another thing that some people, I think specifically only one person has mentioned to me, but this probably could be something of interest to maybe most of you who are watching who are developers. Probably after the game is released, I will see if I can make the repo for the game public so that you guys can see what code I am using and the methods, as this is also a perfect time to mention that there is a new code search feature on S&box. Now, even mentioning that, I know some people right now are going to say, what the hell is even this? Because does this mean you can see the code of every single game, including games that people don't want to have their code seen? And that's not the case. Pretty much it's only available to people who have made it public so that you can actually search through and look through most of that code, which is really great. I do understand that is a whole thing right now, and a lot of people have every right to be very, very worried about that sort of thing. At the same time, I think some people in the Face Punch team were talking about saying that they are actively working on this so that they can improve to make sure that this isn't just a thing that people can just go and download a game and take all the code and then create 30 different million versions of it. I definitely get that because some developers are very upset about that. So there is so much that I am still learning, and obviously, there is a lot of developers within the community that I've had the chance to talk to and assist me in trying to figure out some of these things. So thank you to all the developers who've taken out the time to do that. I definitely get it. I know some people want me to do tutorials on certain things or even compare certain engines. And I just want to say this. I am not the perfect person for that. I definitely understand that as my presentation and what I try to do, I provide the cleanest and simplest way for people to go and learn certain things, and that's great. I am not as well versed as a game developer as of yet to even dare talk about any of that stuff. And I think rightfully so, I don't want to put myself in a position of just saying things that I don't know anything about when it comes to that. I just don't want to do that. So for me, it feels more like eventually somebody is going to go and cover these things. And I also try to push towards other developers who are actively working on these things and also improving on this. If there's anyone that I have to shout out in this video and moving forward for any of this stuff, which eventually for resources and other things would have to be Sand King. Sand King has been putting out a ton, and I mean like a ton of videos like every single week of things where many beginners like you that are watching that want to know about S&box and also learn about how you can develop games on the platform can figure out certain things that you would like to do. If it's either making a roaming AI or just guns or how to improve things. And at the same time, I'm pretty sure Sand King is also a game developer full-time outside of doing those videos. So they are very well versed and knowledgeable about what it is that you need to do to get started from these topics. And I 100% recommend checking out their channel because, again, they know way more than I do. And that's the main thing. I get why people would want to do that. But at the same time, I have to be completely honest with you guys. I'm not really that well versed with that yet. Okay. I love the idea of some people wanting me to do that, but I just feel there is other people that are eventually going to be better, just like Sand King, that I can recommend to you because I would want you to do that. I would want you to go to those people who are more well-versed until I get to that point. Outside of that, that's all I really have. I'm yapping long enough. Feel free to go and subscribe to the channel for more updates. If you are interested in the game, let me know your thoughts down below about how you feel about the game or other different things. Again, it's a work in progress. It's my first game. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm super excited and I'm trying to take it day by day. It's really fun. And this is the main thing that I do enjoy when it comes to S&box as a single player experience. But yeah, that's all I have. I'll stop talking. Check you guys out in the next video. Until then, I'll see you next time.